What's up, fish tank people? Dustin's Fish Tanks bringing it to you on a Greenhouse Saga Sunday. Saga Continues. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're gonna talk more about the next steps with this big greenhouse. We're gonna talk about some red tape that we ran into with the city. We're also gonna talk about my badass father-in-law. And like all good fairy tales, in today's video, we're going to introduce the Evil Villan. Okay. So first things first, I want to clarify a couple of things on the timetable and the financing with this, because these are critical components that I'm going to need to operate my wonderful Dustin's Fish Tanks out of this greenhouse, and they are this: the electric and the plumbing. Now, I had all of the financing approved in place, but before I put my final offer in, I'm backtracking just a tiny bit here, I wanted to make sure I had the electric and the plumbing totally ironed out. So what I do, I reached out to my guy Todd, who did the electric on my current greenhouse, to get a quote. The reason I'm doing this in advance before I'm putting my offer in is this property sits out in a remote location. Let's face it, there's a lot of meth heads these days. People actually came in and ripped out all of the wire in this. I wanted to see what it would cost me to put this wire back into the greenhouse before I made my final offer on this property. Why is lighting important? This is a 400 watt metal halide. The original designs I have for this greenhouse include using about 6 to 8 of these suckers, okay? 400 watts pole, and I'm trying to reheal Crenum Natans that I love so much. I'm gonna need a ridiculous amount of light. That also does not include the inline water heater that I love so much, okay? I'm gonna use not one, but maybe 2 inline water heaters. A ridiculous amount of 400 metal watt halides and a ridiculous amount of inline water heaters. Electric is important. Okay. Electric is important. My guy Todd gives me a reasonable quote on what he thinks it will cost to both get this thing up to snuff with all the power that I need, as well as retooling all of the internal cooling units and what have you. He gives me a reasonable number. Check. Electric. Good to go. Now we move on to the water. Okay, next step, plumbing. I hit up my dude Danny Barnes Plumbing. I love Danny. He's got a big bright yellow van with a baby seat in it and a bunch of plumbing stuff. The guy's great. He did my Murdoch pump or whatever outside of my greenhouse. I hit up Danny. Funny part about this is this: whenever I tell somebody about how much water I need, they're always like, well, yeah, you just need like a little of this. Like, no, I need a ridiculous amount of water. I need a ridiculous amount of water to move extremely fast. This greenhouse had no water that I could see coming into it. We later figured it out. But the reality of it is I had to get a full quote on what's it gonna take to run water all over this place. But we're not done yet with the water. You'll notice around this property, there's no sorts of drains. There's no septic tank, and there's no bathroom. This will come into play later. But regardless of these little issues right there, Danny gives me a reasonable price on what it will take to redo some of the crappy PVC that was already in there and get water into the building. Water's in, electric cost comes in, good, actually lower than what I had projected. Plumbing cost comes in. It's around where I expected it to be. I've got electric, I've got water. This doesn't include any septic tank in here, but I've got enough solid numbers. I go in, I put the offer in, he doesn't counter, he doesn't do anything. He accepts my offer at 80,000 bucks. Next step, money goes into escrow, life is good. How quickly can Dustin move into this greenhouse? I start making calls. All right, so this is all going down right around Thanksgiving. We got the offer accepted. We got the money in escrow. We go through Thanksgiving break. We are set to close December 22nd, okay? I'm like, this is awesome. I'm gonna get through Thanksgiving, talk to the family about it. Life's good. I'm gonna move into this thing and close before Christmas break, have over Christmas break to spend even less time with my family, moving into the greenhouse that Dustin gets for Christmas. I start making phone calls. First call, the city. Yes, hello? Yeah, good morning. My name is Dustin, and I'm interested in purchasing a property out on 7524 Old Richmond Road, and I was trying to figure out kind of what the steps are to get into that property and get my certificate of occupancy license.
Hang on, let me get the massive file on this property.
Yeah, sure, I can hang on. 1 second.
Oh, this property right here? Oh yeah, hang on, I'm gonna have to pull this out. This file's a little bigger than usual.
Slowly, I'm starting to crap myself. Why is the file on this property bigger? What's going on?
Well, sir, it looks like in order to get this property, you're going to need to apply for conditional use. It seems the conditional use for this property has been revoked.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's sure. I can apply for conditional use, ma'am. What is the process in getting a conditional use? Is this just some sort of form I fill out online and pay a fee? What is the process with getting a conditional use for this property in order to get my occupancy? Here's where it gets fun. All right, so there's an important lesson going on here that I want you all to know. It's not about fish tanks, but I think it's important whenever you're purchasing something or you're in some sort of like a, long drawn out thing, and that is asking the question. And I learned this from the CEO of Unified Technologies, Mr. Scott Diamond. I hope you're watching this. He's one of the best salesmen I've ever been around, taught me a ridiculous amount when I was working selling phones for him, and he's the CEO of an awesome company. And if you're looking for a voice over IP phone system, call Unified Technologies and tell them Dustin from Dustin's Fish Tank sent you. Anyway, what he taught me was this. We would go into meetings and we'd be meeting with someone, and he always asked, what does your process look like? Find out, what does the process look like? And he'd ask that, and it stuck in my head. So I'm asking her, what's the process look like? And here's the process.
Well, sir, the process looks like this. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to apply for conditional use. Unfortunately, the conditional use application deadline for December has already passed. You can get your application in before December 12th, and it can be reviewed at the Board of Adjustments meeting in January on January 13th.
Oh, yeah. No, that sounds great. Sure. Okay, so the Board of Adjustments meeting is December. You have to have the application in by December 12th, and the Board of Adjustments meeting is in January. That sounds great. Okay, would there be a good time that I could come down there and kind of go through what the process is with you all? Okay, great, sure. Yeah, we'll see you on Friday. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye. My timetable's all screwed up now! Talk about a nice big turd in the greenhouse Christmas present punch bowl that I'm about to eat. I've eaten turds before, whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. So just to back up here, yeah, so originally planning on closing by December 22nd is now out the window. I have to get my application in by December 12th, no big deal, I'm quick on my feet. They put the application in, they review it, they let me know what's going on, and then they have the Board of Adjustments meeting in January. Not getting into the greenhouse by Christmas, but you have to do what you have to do, and you have to go through the steps, and these steps need to be done in person. I set up a meeting with the lovely and always helpful Autumn with the Fayette County LFUCG, and we go through what is involved in the process of applying for a conditional use. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I did every single bit of this as much as I freaking could in person because I wanna see the reaction on her face, I want to see what's going on, I want to see the look around everybody in the office. I'm trying to figure out as much information as possible about this property, about the history with this property. And this property has a giant file about this big, so I have to figure out what's gone on with it in the past, how can I repair that, and what's gonna go into this conditional use. Now, here's how it works with the conditional use. Autumn is incredibly cool. She explains to me what needs to go into the conditional use. But me, I'm a rookie at this. I've never done one of these. I need to figure out exactly what is going on with this zoning and what are the requirements for this property. This is gonna be a little bit dry, but it's a very valuable component of what goes on in this story. Here's the deal. Okay, we have the conditional use you have to apply for. There's a list of zoning. This is zoned agricultural rural. There's the address of the property. I'm looking for a conditional use. It says a 20-foot wide landscape easement must be provided around all the building, park areas, or perimeter tract of land containing 1 tree per 30 feet of length thereafter, plus a 6-foot high planting. Hold up a second here. This is a greenhouse. You mean to tell me I gotta put 6-foot high trees against the edge of the greenhouse? That doesn't make sense. It's a greenhouse. I'm buying a greenhouse because I want the green, I want the sun to come in there. This is something I gotta worry about. Why do I gotta put 6-foot trees all around? Saga continues. We go here. No, let's see here. So you gotta have earth mound. You gotta have a 6-foot high planting, hedge, fence, or earth mound. This is something I'm going to contest and try to get changed. Planting shall be deciduous, non-deciduous, whatever. A detailed site plan showing the proposed screening and provide a performance bond or letter of credit provided to the Division of Wildlife Services to ensure completion of screening. Basically, I gotta go and I gotta get a bunch of stuff done to make sure that my little screening and my little hedge stuff is all acceptable with the Division of Environmental Services. So it's more work I gotta do. It's the stuff I don't know. Additionally, no structure shall be built within 300 feet of an existing residential structure. There should be no outdoor signs, fine. There should be no sale of fungicides, insecticides, chemicals, peat moss, humus, mulches, or fertilizer. I'm not doing any of that. There shall be no commercial greenhouse shall be located in a floodplain. The commercial greenhouse should be located easily accessible by artillery roads. All roads on site should be sufficient width constructed to safely handle all sizes of trucks. Board's going to review the location of the access points to ensure there's nothing hazardous. That's fine, whatever. How about this F right here? Big old F, big old fail. All driveways and parking areas shall be paved or sealed to prevent dust. Wait a minute. All parking areas shall be paved or sealed to prevent dust. Hold up now. I got this thing under agreement. I got this thing under contract. I got my money where my mouth is on this project. Now you're telling me that something has to be paved? Autumn, what does this mean? Again, Autumn is super helpful. Autumn tells me, you know what, you're probably gonna have this paved, but you can put into your conditional use that you would prefer to not have it paved. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute here. Paving, that's like an extra 15, 20 grand. That is not what we budgeted. That's not in the original razor sharp calculations that I've done. I thought I could buy this thing and use just plain gravel because after all, I'm not gonna be open to the public all the time. So, I have to figure out what this paving requirement is. All right, I'm gonna spare you all the nitty-gritty details that were miserable in applying for this conditional use, but basically, the city of Lexington gave me a list of about 20 properties around the area that I have to mail a letter to explaining what I'm going to do. I do this big application online. I also create a site map. I have to self-address and stamp all of these envelopes to mail them to everyone around the area saying, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. I also submit that to the city, and the city internally has a meeting without any public around, seeing if this is good, if they're gonna approve it, and if they're not gonna approve it, why they will not approve it, and what steps I need to do to make it approvable. In other words, the city's gonna look at what I apply for, and they're gonna go, oh yeah, this looks like a good idea, we're gonna recommend approval of this, or oh, you can almost get this due, but you gotta change X, Y, and Z. The parking and the paving is one of those things, as well as the tree variances. So those are up in the air. Regardless, I get the deadline, I hit the deadline, I send everything in, and I'm feeling pretty good about the situation. I got my variance, I know what's up with the driveway somewhat, and I'm trying to figure out my plan to move forward. Everything goes in just as planned on December 12th. Okay, so I've got all the letters submitted. Everyone around the area has gotten mailed something. I know exactly what the city needs in the way of zoning. I got the couple of variables out there with the asphalt, no big deal there. Got the thing little hanging with the trees, but that's no big deal either. Everything's submitted. Timetable's delayed a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. Nothing you can do about it. I've talked to them at length about what it's gonna take to actually get me and my business into this property, and I'm feeling pretty darn good about it. Here comes the fun part that makes me feel even better. A wise man knows he is not wise. This is my father-in-law, Paul. My children refer to him as Poppy. Poppy can fix anything. Poppy has fixed the bathroom fan multiple times. Poppy rewired our entire basement. Poppy has fixed our HVAC unit multiple times with just a paperclip. Poppy let me marry his daughter, and Poppy could probably beat up Chuck Norris. Poppy is also retired from being the head of maintenance at the Oldham County school systems here in Kentucky. Poppy is a certified electrician, and folks, you are not gonna believe this. Poppy, in his day back in Hodgenville, actually put together a polycarbonate greenhouse before. Guess who I want to come out and check out the property with me? It's Poppy. Come on, Poppy, let's go check this thing out I'm about to buy. Poppy doesn't talk much, but when Poppy's whistling, something's good. Poppy's walking around this massive greenhouse. He's whistling. He's checking out everything. He's looking at the conduit. He's looking at where the power comes in. He's looking at the box. He's nodding his head. He's whistling. He's got a pencil. He's got a piece of paper. He's scratching notes. The more I watch Poppy go around this greenhouse, as a certified electrician, the more excited I get about it. And he's kind of nodding his head and he's thinking, yeah, this could work. I tell him my plan and he's kind of rolling with it, so I'm pumped. Poppy is in. The guy who I think is the smartest, most handiest dude around thinks this is a good idea. This is a win. All right, so you can see I got the greenhouse behind me here. So I'm like, cool. I see the neighbor across the street and I'm like, you know, I'm buying this thing. So I just like roll over here. My father-in-law's in there, like he's got me all excited because he's working. So I walk over here, across the way to this residence. The neighbor's over here and I introduce myself and I say, hey, I'm Dustin and I just want to introduce myself and say what I'm doing and what I got going on over here. And here's how it went down. So I'm standing here neighborly across the fence from the owner of this property right here. And before I say hello, how you doing? I'm thinking about buying this property. She doesn't know I got an offer in, it's under contract, and she goes, you don't want nothing to do with that property. You don't want anything to do with that property. You can't run a business out of there. And I'm like, excuse me, you know, like I'm not trying to make you mad. Abby's a neighbor, glad you're gonna do something with the property that's sat vacant for the past 10 years and maybe be a good neighbor. No! Lisa Gano wants nothing to do with me moving in across the street. Corella DeVille has entered the building, folks. Let me know what you think about this situation. Drop me a comment on what you would do if you were in my shoes. Tank on.